Embarrassed, humiliated, and freaking unacceptable. I've slept on it. I've thought about it. I'm getting ready to amp it up. This is Tennessee versus Vanderbilt. The next day, Frank Rock, House of Orange TV, coming at you. Possibly the worst loss to me of the Heupel era. I don't know. The South Carolina 2022 was a hard one to swallow as well. But Vanderbilt come to Knoxville. They talked in the offseason. All the track, they said they're going to own this state. And you know what they come in and did? They owned this state yesterday. They embarrassed Tennessee. They humiliated them. And to me, it looked like a team with no pride in that second half. That was one of the sorriest second halves that I've seen out of a Tennessee team. And that's been a trend this year. And here's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk the game, and I'm going to talk. We're going to have that hard conversation. Not about Heupel, not about Josh Heupel. Josh Heupel's turned the program around. I like him as a coach. He's got things to fix, and he's got things to evaluate. But we're going to talk to everybody else on it, though. Tennessee missed opportunities in that first half. They had some opportunities to get up, and just dumb penalties that rear their head all year long. This is the most unfreaking disciplined football team that I have ever seen, I think, in Knoxville. And, 5 years in, this should not still be happening on this because you've got continuity in your staff. It's not like you're breaking in a new staff. Yeah, I know there's new guys coming into play and this and that, but this team regressed. And yes, I know the 4 losses were to, in my opinion, what should be 4 playoff teams: Georgia, Alabama, Oklahoma. And you can't sit here and tell me a 10-2 Vanderbilt in the SEC should not be in the playoffs. So, first of all, before I go any further, hats off to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt punked Tennessee. They backed it up, and they just flat out kicked their asses. That's especially that second half. That second half was brutal yesterday. Hats off to them. Hats off to them, and on their best season ever. And that's not me taking a shot at them. That's a program that had never won 10 games, and they got their 10th win emphatically, and they could even go higher than that, depending on. To me, there's no case that leaves them out of the playoffs. I think it's a joke if they get left out. But anyhow, Tennessee was just, you had 2 turnovers in the first half. They scored points off of the turnovers. But then there's other times, I've read some stuff on this as well, and it's not like Vanderbilt was a defensive juggernaut coming in, but, man, they affected Tennessee. And Tennessee didn't do a lot. They didn't run the ball well. Trailing by 10 in the second half, Mike Matthews drops a touchdown pass. He would have walked in once he called it. They had to settle for the field goal, and that was the end of Tennessee scoring. That was effectively the end of the football game. Max Gilbert hit the field goal, cut it to 7. Vanderbilt rolled after that. Vanderbilt could have probably scored more if they wanted to at the end, and they didn't. But the offense, it's just the line is – this offensive line started off the year so well. Man, they regressed as the year went along. We're going to have a conversation there. The defense, terrible. Absolutely terrible. You look at the stats yesterday. The team stats, Vanderbilt, 579 yards to 382 for Tennessee. Just a sorry-ass performance yesterday from Tennessee. And again, hats off to Vanderbilt. Don't get me wrong on that one. But just a sorry-ass performance. That's what it boiled down to. Now, before we go any further, what's Tennessee's bowl opportunities? I think there's a chance it could go – you might see Nashville, Charlotte, or possibly something in Florida along the way. I don't know that I really even care at this point, to be honest with you. I really don't care. I want them to win it. Don't get me wrong on that. But at this point, it's just – I don't know. Whatever the best matchup that'll be the funnest is what I hope they get. But we'll see on that. The bottom line is you can still finish the season with 9 wins, and I think that'll still be not a bad season. But, man, so many missed opportunities this season. Is obviously the Georgia game, should have won that one. Oklahoma blew so many opportunities in that first half. You could have blown them out. Lost that one. there's not a part of me can look at yesterday and say Tennessee should have won that game the way it unfolded. They got blown out, especially in the second half. But what's going to be interesting is what's Tennessee going to do at quarterback. But man, Josh Heupel has got to thoroughly and seriously evaluate this program. And I'll tell you where I'm starting at. Strength and conditioning. It's time for a change in the strength and conditioning program. Kurt Schmidt, it's time for him to go on it. This team consistently against your better SEC teams gets pushed around on both sides of the ball, and it's time for some change there. That's where I start at. I've said this earlier in the year. I'll say it now. No excuse for Vanderbilt to push Tennessee around like they did yesterday. They run for over 300 yards, and they sacked Joey Aguilar 4 times, and he was under pressure all day, and Tennessee doesn't even get 100 yards rushing on it. There's where I start strength and conditioning. The strength and conditioning program is not up to par in the SEC. That's my first place. Get somebody in who's going to make these guys stronger, faster, and who's going to instill some discipline into this team, because this team sure as hell does not have discipline in it. Number 2, yesterday was my final with Tim Banks. It's time for a change on defense. And if you got to overhaul the entire defensive staff, so be it. I have no problem with that at this point. Now, who do you get? I don't know. It's going to depend on everything going on with the coaching carousel as we're going, because I've seen people mention DJ Durkin, who was Auburn's interim head coach, because it looks like now I'm seeing stuff that Alex Golesh may be going to Auburn. I thought he was going to Arkansas, with Lane Kiffin apparently going to LSU. I've seen where maybe Golesh would go to Ole Miss. Now I'm seeing stuff Auburn. So what's it going to be? There's some pretty good defensive coordinators out there to be had, to be honest with you. And I think it's time. And again, if that requires overhauling the whole defensive staff, then so be it. And that includes Rodney Garner, because nobody on that staff did their – I mean, I can't really fault – if anything, I can't really fault Willie Martinez, because your top 2 corners were out for the year. Colton Hood and Ty Redmond got better as the year went on. Ty Redmond played a really good game yesterday. Colton Hood was good this year. They had to make do without their top 2 corners, which would have arguably been the top corner duo in the country. Had Jermod McCoy and Ricky Gibson been healthy this year. Unfortunately, they weren't. So I don't know. I can't really fault Willie Martinez a whole lot, but man, safety play was not good. Linebacker play was hit and miss. I think we've got some really good linebackers. Carter, T-Lander, Spillman, Perlotti. There's a lot of talent. I like what all those guys bring to the table. There's guys coming in on it. But I don't know. It's not meshing. It's not working. I don't think the defense should have been this bad this year. You're going to have to go out into the portal and really hit it hard in the defensive backfield. Yeah, you should get Ricky Gibson back. You'll have Ty Redmond coming back. That'll be a good corner duo. Farouk should be better at safety. You need more safeties. Now letting Jacoby Thomas go was a big mistake. We see that now. But your linebacking room, I'll be curious to see if anybody leaves through the portal. Does Arion Carter go to the draft possibly? Because there's going to be tampering going on. It's probably already going on. It's if you're not, then and Tennessee, if other teams do it, Tennessee should be doing it too. I'm not saying it's right, but it's the landscape. It should they should not be able to tamper. But and I mean, you look at your defensive line. I feel like there's talent there. They need more tackles. They need more tackles. And you had Jackson Moy, David Hobbs, both kind of battling injuries throughout the year. Bryson East and Dominic Bailey were really good. They needed more depth along the way too. But to me, again, it comes back to both lines of scrimmage. I'll look at it and I say there's a lot of talent there. They're getting pushed around. That's a strength and conditioning problem to me with it. So I think Josh Heupel's got to look at meshing a defensive philosophy with his offensive philosophy. I don't think Banks' defense and Dylan Sampson carried Tennessee to the playoffs last year. Banks' defense was the detriment to this team this year. And I know he signed, I think it was a 3-year extension on it. Do I expect Heupel to make a change? I don't. But I think what Heupel's going to do, if he doesn't make these changes, he's making his seat get a little bit warm. And I'm not saying Heupel should go. Don't get me wrong on that. The guys turned Tennessee football around. There's a time where an 8-4 season, we would have taken that all day long in the mid, 20-teens and stuff. Now he's built some expectations. Yeah, it was a little bit of – it's been an odd year with Nico and with Boo Carter. Both of those guys were – obviously Nico leaving at the end of spring. The Boo Carter drama, hindsight's 2020. Maybe they should have booted him. I'm not blaming this on Boo Carter at all because apparently he did what he needed to do to get back on, but how much of it was distraction the whole time as well. And it just goes to show, in my opinion, it was just so undisciplined this year. And it's got to be better. It has to be better. From what I've seen, Joey Halsley, Kelsey Pope, Rodney Garner are on expiring contracts. Now, if you're Heupel, number one, Kelsey Pope should already have an extension. The wide receivers did their job. Yes, they had some drops. Don't get me wrong on that. But, we were worried about the receivers and the receiving depth coming in. They answered the questions easily. Brazel, Staley, Mike Matthews all had good years along the way. Ablin, the tight end coach, I mean, we saw Ethan Davis grow at tight end. I think we're good there. Glenn Ellerby, we're going to have a conversation about here because there's depth on this line. There is talent on this line. They regressed. They didn't get better at all. They got pushed around with it. So is this a philosophy thing? Is this a technique thing? Or does it go back to, is it a strength and conditioning thing with it? To me, I think you got to look at Ellerby. I think you've got to look at Tim Banks. You sure as hell got to look at strength and conditioning on it. And it's hard for me to say on Halsley because the offense was really good this year, and you got to give him credit too. But will Heupel have the guts to make changes? That's what I'm curious to see because I wouldn't say this program's at a crossroads, but there are serious evaluations that need to be made. There are serious looks in the mirror that need to be made. And this one needs to sting. This one needs to sting for a while that you just let your in-state rival come in and punk you in your own stadium. Josh Heupel needs to go find out what it is that's going to get him to the next level. And if not, it's going to get him moved on eventually. Again, I don't want that. I like him. He's turned the program around. But if he gets complacent, if he gets lazy, if he does not make the change, if he's content being 1 year a 10-win program, the next year an 8-win regular season program, if that's what he's content with, great for him. But it's getting time. The talent is coming in. Tennessee's starting to get on par with these other upper echelon teams as far as talent. I think there's a little ways to go there. But you've got an opportunity. Number one, go get aggressive in the portal with safety recruiting on the defensive line. This shit approach they had last year is not going to get it because this is going to be a big offseason. And, if it's the same lackadaisical approach to the portal that it's been, things are going to get restless this offseason. So it's been a good run for Heupel so far. Does he want this to be his ceiling? Or does he want to go make the changes to his program that are going to push him to the next level? Got to take the risk at this point. He's got to take that risk and what it is. And because, yes, 4-2 loss, 4 teams with no more than 2 losses, beat them. All 4 teams should be playoff teams, in my opinion. Still yet, you could have won a few of those games, in my opinion, on it. Any kind of news, anything goes on, I'll be on here going with it. And we'll go from there. This is Frank, House of Orange. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you when I see you.